You're watching Talkin Ducks, built by Parr Lumber. Talkin Ducks is presented by Pacific Clear Vision Institute and Les Schwab Tire Centers. Well, good evening and welcome into another edition of Talkin Ducks. A lot to get to. We have the NFL Combine coming up. We'll talk about why there have been some critics of one Kayvon Thibodeaux. Men's and women's basketball, a couple of heartbreakers over the weekend. Both teams nearly knock off top three teams. We'll let you know how things are looking as far as their potential chances to get into the NCAA tournament. And then the college football playoff has announced, unfortunately, it'll stay at 4 teams until 2026. So enjoy the SEC Fest moving forward. We'll break all that down, but let's go ahead and get to our opening drive brought to you by Les Schwab Tire Centers, where they've been doing the right thing since 1952. And we are joined by Fentress of the Oregonian, a good friend Anthony Newman, and of course, one Joey Harrington. And let's get to the huge news, guys. February. It's the gift that keeps on giving when it comes to college football because we have transfer news. And that would be a familiar name, Chase Cota, son of former Oregon Duck Chad Cota, the great, announcing that he'll be transferring to Oregon. And Aaron, now the Ducks bring in a 4-year player at UCLA to help bolster one of their weakest positions offensively when you look at experience. What type of impact do you think this now has for Oregon as far as Cota becoming a Duck?
Yeah, I think coming out of the season, we all agree that they needed some wide receiver depth. Dan Lanning has talked about that as well. And so you hope to get some veterans who have been there, done that. Now, Cota came out of high school as a very highly touted 4-star recruit. He didn't develop into that kind of dude we all talk about, but he can still ball. He had a nice season last year, 18 catches, 286 yards, 1 touchdown in just 7 games. He's been battling a lot of injuries during his career. At the very least, you get a guy who has experience in this conference, experience running a very complex offense with Chip Kelly. He definitely is a playmaker. No, he didn't become a star there, but that doesn't mean he can't become highly productive for this team. Even if he doesn't start for Oregon, just having a veteran guy who's going to know all the nuances of how to run routes, how to do things offensively and attack certain defenses is going to help this overall crew immensely.
Yeah, Aaron, I agree with you in the fact that he's going to be a nice addition. I don't know that I was necessarily and granted, I'm not in the meetings or in practice or workouts, but I like the idea of Hudson and Franklin and Thornton, like those young guys getting an opportunity to play. Like an opportunity not just to play behind, a Micah Pittman or a Jalen Redd, but to be the guy and truly show us what they can do, because these are guys that were highly recruited wide receivers. They've shown moments, they've shown those flashes when they've had opportunities. And I don't know that I don't want to say as low on this wide receiver group as some people. That's not the right way to put it. But I'm excited to see what they can do. I think it's a nice addition. I think it's a grounding presence. Like you said, a senior leader, someone who's been there, can lend some experience to the room. But I'm excited to see what these young guys can do. And I think that Cota can be a nice addition, an ear, a guy, a mentor, a guy to say, hey, you know what, in this situation, here's what worked for me. Why don't you give it a try? But I want to see what these young guys can do.
Well, first, I'm excited that Chase Cota's coming home because that's what he's doing. He's coming home. He's a kid from Oregon. I've always liked the in-state guys trying to stay at Oregon or even Oregon State, but not to go somewhere else and play out of state. So it's nice to see these kids that you saw in high school play here. Second, it's Chad Cota's son, and I know how their family works. They work hard all the time. I coached his cousin Brady Breeze at Central Catholic. As you know, he was the Oregon safety star, now playing for the Detroit Lions. So they know how to work. What I like, and Joey said this, is he brings experience to that group of young receivers. And there's nothing like experience. He's played a long time at UCLA, played for Chip Kelly, the passing game. The complex of the passing game. So he understands a different offense that he can bring to these young receivers who are studs, but it's always nice to have a veteran in that meeting room.
Yeah, I think the group is fine. Like I think we saw enough last season from the youngins to believe that they're going to continue to develop and become more polished, maybe like Cota is, but they all have explosiveness that you cannot teach. That's what you recruit. You're recruiting that explosiveness, and then hoping you can polish it. So, like, based on the history of Oregon's receivers and how you see them develop and how you see the youngsters flash and then boom, they blossom, I think all these guys are right on track to do just that. And then just adding Cota and maybe even someone else, we'll see. can bring something different to the crew, just like Juwan Johnson did a couple years ago when he was added to Johnny Johnson and Jalen Redd, who looked promising as youngsters but struggled. And then that next year with Juwan Johnson adding some veteran presence, blossomed around him. So I like the addition, absolutely, but the crew is already in pretty good shape.
Don't go anywhere. When we come back, we'll talk about the party-pooping news that we heard. The college football playoff will stay at 4 teams, the impact it has on Oregon and the rest of the conference. When we come back on Talkin' Ducks.
With 9 locations in the Pacific Northwest, Parr's Cabinet Design Center features everything from outdoor cabinets and countertops to sinks and hardware. Thousands of door styles and colors available to order, as well as kitchen and bath cabinets in stock. All available at the Parr Cabinet Design Center.
Sure glad we went to Les Schwab.
I'm glad the baby's still happy.
Well, I'm just glad that along with tires, Les Schwab also does brakes, alignment, and a bunch of other safety services. I mean, if we had gone to a cheap tire store instead, I'd be a doggone wreck.
My thoughts exactly.
Thanks, kiddo.
Give everyone peace of mind on the road. Swing by or book online. Les Schwab Tires, doing the right thing since 1952.
Being able to get LASIK gave me the opportunity to not worry about putting contacts in every day, and just kind of made my life a little easier. Pacific Clear Vision Institute was just incredible through my entire experience. The staff was very welcoming. Dr. Embody, he really just kind of laid it out and made me feel comfortable and gave me confidence to know that I was in good hands. I would definitely recommend Pacific Clear Vision Institute for any sort of laser eye surgery.
Welcome to your Capital Toyota.
From the moment you walk through the doors, we're here for you.
Buy, sell, trade.
We got you covered.
It's everything you need in one place.
Great service? Check.
Easy to work with?
Check.
We want you to be happy, and it shows in everything we do.
Because we respect your time.
It's all the quality and convenience in one package.
New or Toyota certified pre-owned.
Our people are your people.
Capital Toyota. It's your way on the Parkway.
Since 1961, Comfort Flow Heating has provided service to more than 50,000 homes and businesses in the Willamette Valley. While the technology and techniques in our industry have changed, our founding principles have remained the same: to provide exceptional service in all areas of our business and for our customers to enjoy their products from us and be comfortable for years to come.
From all of us at Comfort Flow, thank you for choosing us.
Go Ducks!
Stories tell us that great leaders are anointed at birth, chosen by the hand of fate. But those are just stories.
You're watching Talkin' Ducks, built by Parr Lumber. Welcome back. Let's get to the hot topic, brought to you by Comfort Flow Heating, the HVAC industry leader in Western Oregon since 1961. And the news broke that honestly broke the hearts of every single college football fan. The college football playoff will stay at just 4 teams all the way throughout the end of the 2025 season, which means, Joey, we won't get a chance to see a potential expanded playoff. I say potential because trying to get these guys to agree on anything seems a little difficult. What do you make about this news, Joey, that we'll stay at 4 teams at least for the next 4 seasons?
Well, it's disappointing to anybody who truly wants to see, I think, what we all believe needs to be in college football, which is equal representation of all the conferences, to give a smaller school, a Boise, a Fresno, Central Florida a few years ago, whoever it is. But I think we also know why. It's money, and it's the SEC. Like, why would the SEC give up a situation right now where they just about every year have 2 teams of the 4 in the playoff? Why would they give up that representation to allow everybody to be represented, right? Unless it somehow benefited them, with greater expansion. Look, the idea of an 8-team expansion makes the most sense, right? It's the 5 power conferences, it's representation of a spot by a smaller school, and it's 2 at-large bids, right? But it came out, maybe a month or so, that the SEC wanted a 12. They wanted the opportunity to have more of their teams in there. And, I get it, but I think it's disappointing for all of us who truly want to see not just the SEC championship, but want to see every team or every conference have an opportunity to make that splash. It's never going to be March Madness. It's never going to be the NCAA basketball tournament, but it can be set up in a way to give those opportunities, so that every once in a while you can see a Boise beating Oklahoma, right? You can see a Statue of Liberty and Chris Peterson doing his little dance down the sideline. That's what everybody wants to see out of this college football playoff expansion. And I think it's, am I making an assumption? Sure. But I think it's a logical assumption that money is pretty much driving this thing.
Man. I love football, so therefore I like college football. But notice I said I love football, but only like college football, because college football has annoyed me since I was a wee little tot, and I discovered that, wait a minute, they vote on the national championship game or title team, they don't play. Drove me nuts. As young as 7 and 8, I kid you not, I was disgusted by it. Now, the BCS came along, and that was great, but they'd already cheated us of so many great matchups. People today are still talking about who would have won between Miami and Washington in 1991, right? Fast forward to the BCS. The BCS was better, but even that screwed things up. Most notably in Oregon history, Oregon not playing Miami. Ridiculous. So then they finally bring us a playoff. Great. That's much better. I give you credit. It was 50 years too late, but at least you gave us a playoff. But then we have a situation where you're leaving out major conference champions, and we're getting 2 SEC teams every year no matter what, which means the other 4 Power 5 schools can only get 2. It's stupid. It's insulting to my intelligence. The other thing is they love the controversy because it gets people talking about it. That's why during the year, and Joey and I mock it every year, I don't even partake in that nonsense because it's stupid to sit around arguing about who should be in something that's going to happen in December when you're arguing about it in October and November, when they should just be allowed to have more teams in to play it out. So this to me hurts my brain. It's like in Star Trek when they put the thing in the ear and it goes into your brain and it grabs the cerebral cortex. That's how I feel right now. I'm so insulted by this. It makes me not want to watch. It screws the Pac-12 because we all know the Pac-12 is considered weak. Therefore, you have to pretty much go 13-0 to get into the playoffs at this point. So I'm annoyed.
All right, Aaron, let's get to the elephant in the room with all this, though. What does this mean for Oregon? What does this mean for the Pac-12? We know it's one of the only Power 5 conferences not to win a national title since we've gone to this new format. The 4 teams, I imagine this just only continues to hurt the chances for Oregon and the Pac-12.
Well, absolutely it does, because it creates an out for the selection committee to leave out a Pac-12 school unless they reach a certain high point. Now, I've always maintained that a 12-1 Pac-12 team would probably almost always get in, and so far they have. And I do think that if USC can become a power and Oregon can maintain where it is, that if Oregon is 11-1 going into a Pac-12 championship game against a 10-win USC team, that the winner, that if they win that game, they're going to get in. So I still think there's a path, because things are just going to fall certain ways in other conferences, like we saw in the Big Ten this year. Everyone was like, oh my God, what's going to happen with the Big Ten? And they all just beat each other up until we got what we got. So I still think there's a path there, but it does make it more complicated because of where the Pac-12 ranks amongst the conferences right now. That's why it's so important that USC become better and UW within the division. You need more impressive wins if you're in Oregon's position.
Yeah, that you hit the nail on the head right there. And I don't think it's necessarily, look, the system is what it is right now. And is the system hurting any Pac-12 school, especially Oregon? Sure. But I think what's hurting them more is what you just said, Aaron, is the fact that USC has completely fallen off the map. Washington has completely fallen off the map. Stanford has completely fallen off the map, right? Those teams that have historically carried some national prominence and given a little bit of weight to this conference, they're non-existent. And so all the country sees is Oregon and then the also-rans, right? So if you can get USC back in the discussion, if you can get a Washington or a Stanford back in the discussion, then it lends some weight to the regular season schedule that Oregon will have to play. And, the point that you made again, Aaron, Anthony, we're doing a lot of agreeing with Aaron here so far. We're just going to that a 12-1 Pac-12 school is, we talked about it last year. Like, you have to go undefeated. Well, no, you don't. Like, what is it? It was something we came up with it, like 17 of 21 one-loss conference champions have gotten into the playoff. It just makes it more difficult when the rest of the conference has been as smelly as it has been.
Joey, I'll agree with you. Aaron,
Okay, thank you. Well, yeah, good.
Aaron, because Joey's agreeing with you, so I'm agreeing with Joey, not Aaron.
Okay.
But,
I understand. Noted.
So noted.
But anyway, and I think you really said it, that the Washington, the USC, the Stanfords, they got to point the finger at themselves. They got to play better. They got to recruit better. And when people see them from on a national level and they go up there and they lose these games that they shouldn't lose, then people are going to say about the Pac-12, see, they're no good. So, you got to take care of yourself. You got to do what you need to do as a Pac-12 school and not complain and point fingers at anybody else. And I'm not saying they are, but they need to look at themselves. The USCs, again, the Washingtons, the Stanfords. I mean, Stanford was always at the top, and they just disappeared. So if they want to help the Pac-12, they need to help themselves first.
One note, it should never be forgotten. This is one of the reasons why I said in 2014, well, many reasons. One of the main ones why the 2014 team is the greatest team ever for me is because that season ended with the Pac-12 having 6 teams ranked in the top 25. Think about that. 6, half the conference was ranked in the top 25. That, to me, was the most powerful this conference has ever been, and Oregon won it that year and went to the national championship game.
All right, don't go anywhere because when we come back, it was a very exciting, unfortunately, though disappointing weekend on the hardwood for the Ducks. We'll break down the men's and women's close losses to the conference powers when we come back on Talkin' Ducks.
Parr Lumber is committed to providing the best customer service. We provide personal service. We're problem solvers. We're positive and courteous. We're competent and professional. We are committed to delivering exceptional service every time. We're appreciative and we care. We are Parr Lumber.
Eugene Airport is a proud part of what makes Western Oregon such a unique place to be. With nonstop routes that connect to hundreds of destinations, fly local, fly EUG.
In the heart of the South Willamette Valley, just 12 miles southwest of Eugene, distinctive handcrafted wines are waiting for you at Sylvan Ridge Winery. Sylvan Ridge Wines bring unassuming, casual elegance to your homes, tables, and celebrations, and are best paired with the mainstays of a social gathering: good food, fond friends, and lively conversation. Discover our wines by visiting our tasting room. For a list of events or to plan your visit, go to sylvanridge.com. Proud partners of the Oregon Ducks.
Sure glad we went to Les Schwab.
I'm glad the baby's still happy.
Well, I'm just glad that along with tires, Les Schwab also does brakes, alignment, and a bunch of other safety services. I mean, if we had gone to a cheap tire store instead, I'd be a doggone wreck.
My thoughts exactly.
Thanks, kiddo.
Give everyone peace of mind on the road. Swing by or book online. Les Schwab Tires, doing the right thing since 1952.
Sometimes leadership is scary. But so is regret.
You're watching Talkin' Ducks, built by Parr Lumber. Welcome back. It's time to put things into focus, brought to you by Pacific Clear Vision Institute, the official eye doctors and eye surgeons of the Oregon Ducks. And, well, the Oregon men's basketball team had a bit of a Jekyll and Hyde weekend down in the desert. They got blown out by Arizona State, only to bounce back and give number 3 Arizona an absolute run for the money. This game came down to the wire, but the Wildcats just hit a few more big shots down the stretch, and you have to credit Oregon's fight, but in the end, it was still a loss. The surprising thing for Oregon, though, is that they moved up from 72 to 63 in the net. And as you know, you want to be in that top 64 net to even have a chance for an at-large bid. Now, are their at-large bids, hopes, and dreams dead? Not necessarily, because Oregon has one of the toughest remaining schedules in the conference. You have both LA schools coming to Eugene, and UCLA, USC are both top 20 programs right now. And then Washington State, who's in the top 50 in the net, and Washington are the final 2 road games for Oregon. So if the Ducks somehow go 4-0 and get to the round of 4 in the Pac-12 tournament, maybe even the championship game, it's not out of the question. Maybe Oregon does get a chance to get an at-large bid, but clearly they can't afford any more bad losses at this point. So the Ducks, we'll see what happens, but it will be a very exciting final 2 weeks to the season. All right, it's time for some excellence off the football field presented by Ferguson Wellman. Ferguson Wellman taking a disciplined approach to investing, and the Oregon women falling just short at home to the number 2 Stanford Cardinal. And again, it's more signs that this Oregon team, even in the loss, they are playing so much better now that they're healthy and they're finally catching up to the schedule. It felt like they were so behind the ball for the majority of the season. And in our conversations with Kelly Graves, he talked about that. A young team, missing pieces, dealing with this schedule. It was tough, but this team has really started to settle down. After the game, though, Coach Graves talking about where things went south down the stretch and his thoughts on his team and his effort against Stanford.
Certainly no moral victory. I mean, we obviously wanted to win the game and had a chance to win the game, had ourselves into a position to do so, and I didn't do a great job down the stretch of keeping us organized and pulling the right buttons. But I feel better, and I think they feel better about the effort than we did the other night in a win. So I think we looked more like a team that can compete, come postseason play a lot better tonight. I'm really actually proud of the team. I thought we controlled that game for most of the night. We just didn't get some, make our own breaks, and we didn't get many calls down the stretch. And, but that happens in the game. You just got to find a way to get it done, and credit Stanford. They know how to win. They have a veteran crew, and, and a coach that knows a thing or two about what she's doing too. So, disappointing, but also encouraged that we played some good basketball at times tonight.
The good news is this is an Oregon women's team that'll be a lock for the tournament, and things are clicking. And even more good news, senior Sedona Prince coming back for one more year, she announced earlier this week. So Kelly Graves will be locked and loaded not only for a run this year, but also next year as well. All right, don't go anywhere. When we come back, we talk NFL Combine. 6 Ducks invited to run around in shorts and take a bunch of tests to see if they can get a job in the NFL. We'll talk more about what people are saying with the Combine approaching when we come back on Talkin' Ducks.
Do you have a stay-at-home project? We can help. Contact Parr from the comfort of your home. Get a free quote online or call a pro to order your materials. And the best part? We deliver. Call us or visit Parr.com for details. Parr, your project experts for 90 years.
Being able to get LASIK gave me the opportunity to not worry about putting contacts in every day, and just kind of made my life a little easier. Pacific Clear Vision Institute was just incredible through my entire experience. The staff was very welcoming. Dr. Embody, he really just kind of laid it out and made me feel comfortable and gave me confidence to know that I was in good hands. I would definitely recommend Pacific Clear Vision Institute for any sort of laser eye surgery.
Welcome to your Capital Toyota.
From the moment you walk through the doors, we're here for you.
Buy, sell, trade.
We got you covered.
It's everything you need in one place.
Great service? Check.
Easy to work with?
Check.
We want you to be happy, and it shows in everything we do.
Because we respect your time.
It's all the quality and convenience in one package.
New or Toyota certified pre-owned.
Our people are your people.
Capital Toyota. It's your way on the Parkway.
Since 1961, Comfort Flow Heating has provided service to more than 50,000 homes and businesses in the Willamette Valley. While the technology and techniques in our industry have changed, our founding principles have remained the same: to provide exceptional service in all areas of our business and for our customers to enjoy their products from us and be comfortable for years to come.
From all of us at Comfort Flow, thank you for choosing us.
Go Ducks!
You're watching Talkin' Ducks, built by Parr Lumber. Talkin' Ducks is presented by Pacific Clear Vision Institute and Les Schwab Tire Centers. Welcome back. It's time for A Thing of Beauty, presented by Dr. Lee B. Daniel and Aesthetic Plastic Surgery. Live beautiful. Well, the beautiful news for 6 Oregon Ducks, they just got their invite to the most prestigious job opportunity in the world, and that is the NFL Combine. Going through the list of names here, you've got Johnny Johnson, Verone McKinley, Kayvon Thibodeaux, C.J. Verdell, Devin Williams, and Mikhail Wright. The Combine will take place in March this year, March 1st through the 7th. But guys, the topic of conversation, and Anthony, I want you to take the first stab at this one. There have been reports about concerns from ESPN's Todd McShay saying he's concerned about the fire and the drive that Kayvon Thibodeaux plays with. He feels like other prospects have more of a sense of urgency out on the field. What do you make about these comments? Because it felt like Thibodeaux was a lock to be the #1 overall pick all season, but since the season wound up, he's kind of fallen a little bit in the draft boards.
Todd McShay, well, I'll keep it clean. I'm not high on Todd McShay and all his draft picks and rankings and all that kind of thing, because people need to understand the GMs here, the NFL programs, they're playing poker. Okay, you have to understand this, that, if they're, at the 7th, 8th pick, okay, and they want a certain guy, okay, they may spread some news about that guy that they know that Todd McShay will say on ESPN or wherever about, oh, this guy doesn't play very hard, so no one will look his way, so that team that really wants him, make sure that they can draft him and make sure he's there when they pick him because they want him very bad. So you have to understand that. And, you're not going to sit up here as a GM and talk about a guy that's so great and he does everything so well, and this other NFL team is going, maybe we want him. Let me take him first. It happened with me, with the LA Rams and the New York Giants. The Giants wanted me. They talked about it. Next thing you know, I didn't even talk to the Rams, and the Rams drafted me. So the GMs, they're playing poker, okay? Just look at the film. The eye in the sky doesn't lie about Kayvon Thibodeaux. The guy goes 100 miles an hour. He's an athlete. He's a stud. And he's going to be a top 10 pick. Somebody is going to get him in the top 10. Now, there might be some other guys that show different things on film, but this guy's a beast. And you don't want to pass on a guy like that, because then, now as a GM, you could get fired because you're like, well, we should have got this guy. He doesn't have to go to the Combine. He doesn't have to perform at the Combine. He's done his work on film. Look at Jamar Chase. He didn't go to the Combine. He didn't even play his senior year. And he got, picked 5th in the NFL draft. So now, the thing is this, okay? The other young guys, they need to go to the Combine. They need to help their draft. That helped my draft. I was projected 3rd round, maybe 4th. I slipped into the top 2nd round, 35th pick of the draft, because of my Combine scores. So it can help some players. Some other players, Kayvon, they don't need it.
So this is what happens every year. First of all, the whole #1 pick thing, when people are talking about that in the summer and the fall, that's all make-believe. You don't know exactly where NFL teams are and that stuff. And they don't really start deep diving until later. So I'm always leery about those kind of things early in the season. That said, he's definitely #1 overall worthy, but you're going to have 5, 6, 7 guys who fall into that category. And so once you've established that level of talent, now the nitpicking begins. So yeah, scouts can look at a film and say, oh, well, I feel like Kayvon at times took plays off more so than this other guy. That doesn't mean they're going to fall off the map. And at the end of the day, it doesn't matter all that much unless your ego is wrapped up in where exactly you go within the top 5. But people said the same thing about Haloti Ngata coming out, that he took plays off. And I remember the time I'm like, if I'm 350 and being double teamed the entire game, I'm going to take some plays off too. And if I'm Kayvon and I'm pass rushing like a bat out of hell every other play, and I'm getting double teamed a lot of times, you're going to get tired, and sometimes you are probably going to take a play off, especially if you don't feel like you're going to impact the play. That all said, the bottom line is we've seen this guy when it's go time. And when it's go time, it's scary. It's nasty. It's quarterbacks thinking about just taking a knee. Coach, I know it's 3rd and 10, but I think we should just punt, so I'm going to take a knee because Kayvon looks pissed off right now. So anyway, my point is, whoever drafts him is going to get an elite player. They're going to get an elite pass rusher. Is he going to have to be maybe managed his rookie year, and maybe you don't play him 60 snaps, you play him 38 because you let him ease his way into the NFL, so maybe he doesn't take some plays off? Maybe, but it doesn't matter in the end. He is going to be an impact player at the next level.
I'm starting to really not feel comfortable with the direction of the show, just letting everybody know, because I once again agree with.
Maybe we should let you go before me. That way you don't even have to say it.
I don't know. Like I may just turn my camera off and be like, all right, Aaron, you just speak for yourself, and then I'll just say good.
Well, let's go ahead and hit Victory Road, presented by Capital Toyota in Salem, your way on the Parkway. And Kayvon Thibodeaux most likely will be the third top 10 pick for the Ducks in the last 3 years. And guys, if you're doing the math, only 10 programs could ever say they could do such a thing. So, Aaron, what does this say about Oregon's NFL image when they are being able to send this many guys in the top 10 consistently? I imagine that's pretty good when you can sell it to recruits.
It's huge, and you're doing it in different ways. You're doing it with a Justin Herbert, whom wasn't recruited that highly by anybody, who develops into a first rounder and looks like a star. And then you're doing it with 5-star kids. You're showing 5-star kids out there, hey, you don't have to go to Bama to be a top 10 pick. You don't have to go to Clemson to be a top 10 pick. Sometimes people get wrapped up in that whole which program develops this thing. And I've always felt like, yeah, there's development involved. There's also, if you're really, really good, you can go play at Walla Walla Community College, which no longer has football, but still get a look by the NFL. So Oregon is showing that the top high-end recruits, like top 3, 4, 5 in the nation, yes, you can come to Oregon and become a top 10 pick. You don't have to go to these other programs that may have a higher profile.
Yeah, Aaron, and I think the other thing too is historically Oregon has been just an offensive, not offensive minded, but people have viewed Oregon as just an offensive school, and it's been quarterbacks or, mostly quarterbacks who have been top 10 picks through the years. I think they're showing it with different positions as well, which is really nice to see from an Oregon fan's perspective, but also from the recruit's perspective to say, you know what, I can be a D end, I can be a D tackle, I can be a safety, I can be, I can be all these other positions, an offensive lineman, and still go to Oregon and end up as a top 10 pick. I think that's the way that Oregon has expanded the development of those players, putting them into the NFL has been a huge thing for recruiting. And I think that the question about Oregon's image in the NFL, I think it's changed from kind of a flash in the pan, like 1 or 2 guys every couple years, to a school that is consistently putting quality NFL players into the league. And I think that says something.
Well, also the recruiting aspect of the game too, going and getting these guys across the country. Oregon is traveling all over the country trying to recruit these kids from high school that have the opportunity and they can play at the next level, but trying to get those guys to play at Oregon, that's big.
All right, don't go anywhere. When we come back, we'll talk more about some Oregon lineage. Yes, Chase Cota coming to Oregon. We'll take a look at the best family ties that have ever laced him up on the field for the Ducks.
Since 1961, Comfort Flow Heating has provided service to more than 50,000 homes and businesses in the Willamette Valley. While the technology and techniques in our industry have changed, our founding principles have remained the same: to provide exceptional service in all areas of our business and for our customers to enjoy their products from us and be comfortable for years to come.
From all of us at Comfort Flow, thank you for choosing us.
Go Ducks!
Eugene Airport is a proud part of what makes Western Oregon such a unique place to be. With nonstop routes that connect to hundreds of destinations, fly local, fly EUG.
In the heart of the South Willamette Valley, just 12 miles southwest of Eugene, distinctive handcrafted wines are waiting for you at Sylvan Ridge Winery. Sylvan Ridge Wines bring unassuming, casual elegance to your homes, tables, and celebrations, and are best paired with the mainstays of a social gathering: good food, fond friends, and lively conversation. Discover our wines by visiting our tasting room. For a list of events or to plan your visit, go to sylvanridge.com. Proud partners of the Oregon Ducks.
Stories tell us that great leaders are anointed at birth, chosen by the hand of fate. But those are just stories.
You're watching Talkin' Ducks, built by Parr Lumber. Time now to fly back in Oregon history, courtesy of Eugene Airport. Fly easy, fly EUG. Well, gentlemen, as we talked about earlier, Chase Cota, now a Oregon Duck after transferring from UCLA to Oregon. And his father, Chad Cota, was a Hall of Fame defensive back for the Ducks, had a terrific NFL career. And it got us thinking about some of the best family ties that have ever played football for the Ducks. Of course, you have the Harringtons, you have the Dyes, you have the Sewells, you have the Cotas. And let's go ahead and start with you, Aaron. When you look at some of the best family combinations, whether it's father-son or brothers that have played for Oregon, who do you think is the top pair in your opinion?
I feel like I might be missing someone, but just the name that came to my head right away were the Wilcoxes. You've got Dave and his two sons, Justin and Josh. All three standout players at Oregon. All three played in the NFL. And Daddy Wilcox is a Hall of Famer. Like, I don't know how you get much better than that. So I'm going to go with the Wilcoxes unless someone has something better to offer.
No, I don't. I just know that, I got some grandkids coming, and so they're going to be up there soon. No, I'm just kidding. No, I don't have grandkids coming. Not yet. But Aaron, Joy, you're going to hate this, but I have to agree with you. I mean, there's
what
three.
Is going on today?
Wait,
we all agree with Aaron.
You can't beat three. I mean, you got the Sewell family, but that's two. You got three, and one is in the NFL Hall of Fame. How do you beat that?
I don't disagree. But just okay, if Wilcox is 1A, what would be 1B? Would you put Brady Breeze in the Cota extended family?
Yeah.
Cousins and nephews count?
I gotta go with this. If we're going 1A with Wilcox, I think I gotta go 1B with Sewell based on potential, right? You have potentially two top 10 picks coming from that family. Obviously there's football left to be played for Noah, but just the trajectory that you can see with both of their careers, I mean, Aaron, I know you're going to get on me for this, but if Penei Sewell keeps playing at the level that he's playing right now, it's not unrealistic to think of him as a potential Hall of Famer down the road. He had a fantastic rookie year, right? So, I mean, you could start to develop that idea, but it's not there. I'm just thinking, okay, 1A, what could potentially be 1B? I'd probably say the Sewells.
Not the Dye family?
I just don't see the top end.
Okay.
Is Travis Dye going to be a dominant NFL football player?
True.
I don't think so. I don't think so. Again, it's that conversation from a couple weeks ago about Justin Herbert. Like, what are you using as your measuring stick? Is it performance at Oregon or is it whole football career?
Yeah.
But I don't think anybody beats the Wilcoxes.
And I think you start with performance at Oregon, and then sort of the tiebreaker or the piece de resistance is, okay, what level did they get to after that?
Yeah.
Did they have an impact at the NFL level? And if they did, then that's what trumps the guys who peaked at Oregon.
Right.
All right, when we come back, our good friend Matt Preem will join us and we'll learn more about the latest recruiting news for the Ducks, both when it comes to football and basketball. Stick around. We'll be right back. You're watching Talkin' Ducks, built by Parr Lumber. Welcome back. Time now for What's Cooking, brought to you by Sam's Northwest Barbecue, the largest brick and mortar specialty barbecue store in the Northwest. And we are now joined by Matt Preem of Duck Territory of 24/7 Sports. And Matt, let's talk about this weekend. Oregon men's basketball losing both games in the desert. The question now is there enough meat left on the bone, barbecue reference there, for the Ducks to get an at-large bid when you look at their remaining schedule and what lies ahead in the Pac-12 tournament?
Yeah, Jordan, that's the tough question here is, do they have enough left to get there? I see a path to the tournament. I guess the question then becomes, will they be consistent enough to achieve that path, to get to that path? Because they play 3 games in the next 4 in the regular season that will help them in their NCAA resume building quest, if you will. Starts at home with UCLA and USC. Those are 2 top 25 teams in the net rankings. Both of them would give them a huge boost. Win both, and they are back squarely in the tournament. Probably the first team that's outside of the play-in round. Maybe the first team the highest seeded team in the play-in round. Kind of that in that range where they're going to go to Dayton, or maybe they're not going to go to Dayton. And then they play at Washington next Thursday, at Washington State to close out the regular season. Washington State will be another game that will enhance its resume. Win those 4, and you go to Vegas basically saying, hey, win 1 game and you're in. Drop a game, and it probably sets up a situation where you need to win 2 in Vegas. Drop 2, you probably you probably need to win the whole thing, So it's tough sledding, and the question just becomes, can Dana Altman and his coaching staff get this team to play up to its level of competition down the stretch? Because that's been an issue, as Dana Altman said after Arizona.
Well, regardless of what happens this year, Matt, there is some good news for next year. Oregon got a recent JC commit. Tell us a little bit more about that.
Yeah, Brennan Rigsby from Northwest Florida State College. If you're familiar, if that school sounds familiar to you, it's because it's produced 2 of the greatest Ducks in the Dana Altman era, Elgin Cook and recently Chris Duarte. Brennan Rigsby is another guard, 6'3", played his high school basketball in the state of Utah, was a full qualifier, meaning he didn't have to go the junior college route. He just, COVID-19 and the pandemic impacted his recruitment. He did not have the options that he felt like warranted his skill set, so he went to the JUCO route instead of signing with the college. It paid off. Oklahoma offered him a scholarship. Georgia offered him a scholarship. A bunch of mid-majors have offered him a scholarship. And then Oregon came in, and he came out and said that, Oregon was his dream school. And once Oregon offered, that was kind of a done deal for him. He'll have 3 years of eligibility, which I think is very important for this program as they look to kind of rebalance its roster and have some player continuity year over year, which is very important at a basketball level in college. A guy that made 6 3-pointers in the most recent game that he played, shoots 36% on threes. Dana Altman said that told him that he likes him as a kind of a shooting guard / point guard, can kind of bounce between the 2 roles, and very athletic player as well. If you watch his highlights, a lot of highlight reel dunks.
And finally, Matt, Chase Cota announcing his transfer from UCLA to Oregon for 1 season. What does that mean for this receiver room? Because anytime I imagine you add that kind of experience, it's got to help you out.
Yeah, this was a case where Chase Cota, he comes into an Oregon program now as the career leader in receiving yards, just under 900 yards in his career. This was a position room without him that plenty of talent, plenty of potential, but lacked depth and lacked playing experience at the collegiate level. And so while Cota doesn't have experience in the Oregon Kenny Dillingham system, he does have experience going through the grinds of college football, balancing school and academics and social life, balancing the struggle of not getting the ball and knowing what to do week in, week out, and fighting through that. emotion of are you impacting the game in other ways? And so this is, I like this move. I think this is very important for Oregon. He's only got 1 year left. He was a high profile recruit coming out of South Medford High School a couple years ago when he was in the high school ranks. And this is a player that I don't know if he necessarily will lead the team in receiving yards, but it wouldn't surprise me if he's one of the primary starters and one of the key rotation guys at Oregon in 2022.
All right, Matt, as always, thanks again for joining us. Don't go anywhere when we come back because we've got to learn more about this Dan Lanning visit to the residence of one Joey Harrington. We'll share the story when we return on Talkin' Ducks.
With 9 locations in the Pacific Northwest, Parr's Cabinet Design Center features everything from outdoor cabinets and countertops to sinks and hardware. Thousands of door styles and colors available to order, as well as kitchen and bath cabinets in stock. All available at the Parr Cabinet Design Center.
Sure glad we went to Les Schwab.
I'm glad the baby's still happy.
Well, I'm just glad that along with tires, Les Schwab also does brakes, alignment, and a bunch of other safety services. I mean, if we had gone to a cheap tire store instead, I'd be a doggone wreck.
My thoughts exactly.
Thanks, kiddo.
Give everyone peace of mind on the road. Swing by or book online. Les Schwab Tires, doing the right thing since 1952.
Being able to get LASIK gave me the opportunity to not worry about putting contacts in every day, and just kind of made my life a little easier. Pacific Clear Vision Institute was just incredible through my entire experience. The staff was very welcoming. Dr. Embody, he really just kind of laid it out and made me feel comfortable and gave me confidence to know that I was in good hands. I would definitely recommend Pacific Clear Vision Institute for any sort of laser eye surgery.
Welcome to your Capital Toyota.
From the moment you walk through the doors, we're here for you.
Buy, sell, trade.
We got you covered.
It's everything you need in one place.
Great service? Check.
Easy to work with.
Check.
We want you to be happy, and it shows in everything we do.
Because we respect your time.
It's all the quality and convenience in one package.
New or Toyota certified pre-owned.
Our people are your people.
Capital Toyota. It's your way on the Parkway.
You're watching Talkin' Ducks, built by Parr Lumber. Let's have a toast brought to you by Sylvan Ridge Winery, proud partners of the Oregon Ducks. Well, if you remember not too long ago, when we had Dan Lanning on the show, Joey said if you ever find yourself in Northeast Portland, the door is open. Well, Dan Lanning took that offer, and he did go over to Joey Harrington's house because we saw this photo, and Joey, I gotta ask you, I would have loved to have been a fly on the wall in that house, but how'd it go? Did you like the guy even more? What'd you guys talk about? Inquiring minds are really curious here.
Well, okay. Well, first of all, let me kind of put something to bed because there are a lot of people who said, well, what was the context of the meeting? What were they talking about? Who started? Who called it? Like, was it business talk? Who was, who was saying what? Let me tell you everybody how it started. Hey, coach, if you're in Portland, you want to come over for a beer this afternoon? Yeah. What's your address? Cool. I'll send it to you. Is it okay if Tosh comes?
But what kind of beer, Joey? What kind of beer was
We'll
it?
get there. We'll get there. So for everybody thinking like it was some kind of business, meeting, like we got to bury a hatchet. it's like, hey, coach, you want to come over? It's like, yeah, Tasha's with me. Is that cool? It's like, absolutely. Here's my address. See you in a few minutes. And then the picture, we were sitting and talking out in the backyard, and they came over for a couple hours, and it was a fantastic conversation talking about how social media plays into recruiting. And at the end of the night, he's like, oh, we should take a picture as if I'm recruiting you, the stereotypical recruiting picture. So that's where everything came from. What do I think about Dan Lanning? I think exactly what I've said from the moment we heard him speak. And it was only reinforced by being around him. There are certain coaches, and Anthony, you can share this as well, that when you talk to them, you can tell they're genuine. There's some coaches you can tell when you talk to them that they're used car salesmen. There's some coaches that when you talk to them, you can tell that they're in it for themselves, right? There are these very definite, silos that these coaches fall in. Dan Lanning and his staff fall into that first silo, which is, I'm a good person. And I care about this program, and I care about these students, and I want to be here, and I want to make this great. Like it was a relaxed, enjoyable conversation, learning about his family, his journey in football. It was. I think it just solidified everything that I think we've kind of come to know so far in this point of our journey with him as the head coach, is that he's a good dude and a great fit. And I think we're all excited to see what he can do now on the football field.
It's funny because I've been in Joey's neighborhood a couple times. I don't remember getting a phone call. And I do remember going over to the house and the porch light was on, and I was getting out the car, and I'm walking up to the door, and the porch light went out. And I knocked on the door, and nobody answered. So I'm not sure. I thought, but anyway, I'll just let people know. What I think is important is that Coach Lanning, he's reaching out to the past, okay? Guys that have paved the road for these new Duck players in the program, and that's big. Coach Lanning's thinking about history, okay? And when you reach out to guys like Joey and you go to his house and talk to guys like Joey, that is big as a coach. That is big time. It shows you who you really are as a person, to take your time. You're not recruiting Joey, okay? He's not going to go and play for you, okay? Because right now he's trying to visit all these high schools. I know how that is. It's crazy. But he took the time to go to his house, sit in his living room, and talk to him. And there's only so much time in a day that these coaches have. They're going 100 miles an hour, and that means a lot to me.
Well, Anthony, at least when Joey invited you over, he didn't give you an address in Scappoose. I was all confused. Like, wait, what? I thought. Anyway, listen, with age comes wisdom.
You guys sound like my brother. Like, where was my invite? Here's how it happened. Hey, coach, want to come over for a beer? Sure, be there in a couple minutes. I'm not calling you guys.
Look, with age comes wisdom. I'm going to pat myself on the back here, something I never do, of course. When all that controversy went down, I was laughing at it because I'm like, look, this is all going to blow over and something good's going to come from this. And fans were freaking out. It was all childishness. But I knew Dan Lanning was an adult. I knew Joey Harrington was an adult. I knew what was expressed by the former players, and it was healthy what they expressed. And I knew Dan would treat it like an adult. And I knew that eventually they would come together and something like this would happen. And so to me, when I saw it, literally, I was like, aw, isn't that sweet? Like, because that's what you need. It was just this, I always believed in the whole coming together of the present and the past in any walk of life of sports. And it used to irritate me that Chip Kelly, the so-called Messiah, would alienate past players. It drove me nuts that he would do that. So I love seeing it. It was great. Joey tweeted that I was jealous. And I'll admit, I was a little tiny bit jealous. Not because of Dan, though, but because you sent me to Scappoose.
All right, that'll do it for this edition of Talkin' Ducks. As always, thanks again for joining us. Next week, we get closer and closer to the Pac-12 tournament. Huge set of games for the Ducks men's team at home against the LA schools. And who knows, we'll probably get another transfer somewhere when it comes to the football program. We'll catch you next week. Thanks again. We'll see you then.